According to the Pentagon, a U.S. Navy warship has come under attack from Iranian-backed Houthi rebels, as well as a number of commercial vessels. Just what's happening? What does it mean for the larger security situation in the Middle East? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's get right into it. Okay, so this is from the AP, which usually does the best reporting on this sort of stuff. They generally verify facts, even if they can sometimes be just a little slow. So what they're reporting is that 3 commercial vessels, these are large shipping vessels, were hit by missiles in a Houthi attack in the Red Sea, and the U.S. warships downed 3 drones that targeted, it's believed to be the actual U.S. destroyer. I believe it is the Carney. This is basically a guided missile destroyer whose sole function is to interdict these sort of attacks, right? So here, we'll pull it up on the map because I think this is significant, right? And I think it's right here. Yeah, here's the USS Carney, 2 Houthi drones headed in the ship's directions in the southern Red Sea. And the Carney was actually responding to a distress call by a commercial ship that had been targeted, right? And you can see, you can see how vulnerable a ship passing through the Red Sea is here. It's, just really, less than about 100 kilometers wide. So a drone, even with fairly limited range, could still target a ship or commercial vessel. And what oftentimes is the objective when you see someone trying to sink large numbers of vessels in a narrow path like this, what you're usually seeing is efforts to make it unnavigable. And the fear is that oftentimes these pathways are very shallow, and more than that, there's only a few channels that are known to be deep enough for commercial vessels. And if you can sink a commercial vessel in that channel, it can take a long time to find ways to safely navigate around that. So that may be what we're looking at here, an effort by Houthi rebels to, again, take down these commercial vessels, sink them in a narrow part of the Red Sea. And my thesis would be that the drones were meant to sort of distract, for lack of a better term, the Carney, occupy its air defense systems to protect itself, and neglect to take down other missiles that might have been headed towards these commercial vessels. Now, the belief is that this is executed by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels, but I think it's fair to say, and the U.S. is saying, that this is functionally done by Iran. This was done with Iran's permission. And the U.S., of course, is saying it's going to consider all appropriate responses in the wake of the attack, but they've been calling out Iran specifically. These attacks, according to the U.S. Central Command, they said these attacks represent a direct threat to international commerce and maritime security. They've jeopardized the lives of international crews representing multiple countries around the world. And they said we have every reason to believe that these attacks, while launched by the Houthis in Yemen, are fully enabled by Iran. This happened at about 9:15 local time near Sana'a. And of course, the Carney detected the ballistic missiles fired from the Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. They targeted a Bahamian flagged carrier, as well as 2 other carriers that I think were Panamanian flagged. But oftentimes the actual owners of the ships are in different countries, and the crews are in different countries still. Right. The Carney believed that, it's not clear that these drones were targeting the Carney per se. One of those drones was actually launched after one of the ships had been struck. One of the commercial ships had been struck at 9:30 local time. The Carney has been very busy, to say the least. And taking out a number of drones and missiles that have been fired at Israel and other targets by Houthi rebels, again, generally believed to be operating as proxies for the Iranians. So anyway, what does this all mean? Well, as discussed, I think it's a sign that, of course, the U.S. had really hoped that that its response to the attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria would sort of remind Iran that the U.S. is not playing games; it's not to be trifled with, and that it takes seriously defending its allies and assets. That message seems to have not gotten through, or Iran doesn't care, believing that its proxies are disposable. The danger is, of course, if that's how Iran operates, then the next logical step for the United States is to actually target Iranians themselves. And so it remains to be seen what that response is going to look like, but it is definitely worrying when you see these kind of escalations. But this seems to be what Iran wants. They seem to perhaps be misjudging, believing the U.S. military is at a reduced state of readiness due to the fact that they've sent a lot of equipment to Ukraine, not fully appreciating the fact that much of the equipment that's gone to Ukraine is equipment that's reaching the end of its service life, and that the U.S. maintains a very high level of readiness. I mean, as we're seeing, right, this is one guided missile destroyer effectively cannot be touched by these drones, though it did fail to protect these other maritime vessels. It's not really clear that that's even the mandate. So anyway, guys, that's all I had for you. If you're interested in some of my analysis of the combat footage coming out of the Israel-Hamas conflict now that fighting is resumed, those I can't put on YouTube, but the uncensored videos are on combatvetnews.com. This is my site where I have both news about the national security space for free, but a members-only section where if you want to support the channel, twice a week we find the most viral combat footage and we do a deep dive analysis, right? We have 3 tiers here, which all have exclusive benefits, but anyone is going to get you access to those uncensored combat videos. And that's the analysis, the deep dives that really give us insight into the reality of combat. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Cheers.